Hey guys, welcome to module 4. This is how to fade an LED. So you're going to need 2 wires, the same 220 ohm resistor, an LED, and then obviously the boards. So let's hop into the whiteboard real quick and I will show you how to wire this up. It's very easy, it's just like before. Alright, fading an LED is really cool, right? So we're going to mess with the amount of voltage that goes to it. That's the only difference that we're going to make from previously blinking an LED. So we'll take the ground here, we'll bring it to our same 220 resistor, and then we'll bring it to the LED. Just like before when we wired up the LED. However, this time we're going to go to PWM9. As you can see here, it just says PWM, or sometimes there is a squiggly line on the board right here, which means that you can control the amount of voltage that is being output by these outputs here. So we're going to be able to control how much is being fed to this LED, which is going to control the brightness. Alright guys, welcome back. So let's go ahead and wire this up. So grab our LED here. Remember that the longer lead is positive. So we're going to send that one to positive, and the other one to our negative here. Okay, now let's take this and then wire that into PWM9. So the only difference here with the squiggly line, as you can see on the board, that means you can control the amount of voltage that is being put to that output. So then this one goes to ground. All right, let's wire it up. Let's go ahead and hop in the computer and code it.
All right, so we're going to set up a fading LED here. So let's ask ourselves right off the bat, what kind of constants do we need? What information do we need to start off? So we need the LED, of course, so where we're going to be placing our LED. In this case, we're just going to have it on 9. And then we're going to need a way to tell the brightness, right? So essentially, since we're fading the LED, it's going to go from dim to bright and so back and forth. So that needs to be a value as well, because we need to assign this brightness level to the actual LED. And then last, we'll need fade amount. And what this will allow us to do is it allows us to measure how much we want to kind of fade the LED by. So what intervals we want to go at. So just know this is going to be 5. This is usually the best go for that. So I'll explain it more as we fill this out. So setup, all we need to do here is pin mode. Since we only have one thing that we're dealing with, we only have one output, right? Because we're only trying to control this LED here. Next, we need to, so the difference here is really cool. We're using an analog instead of digital. So analog allows us to give multiple values. If you think of like a thermostat, right? You've got a whole bunch of different values on it. You can get 76 degrees, maybe it's 72 degrees. So you get the range of values. It's a whole bunch of numbers. So that's analog. Digital is on or off, and that's it. It's 1 or 0. So that's the difference between analog and digital. So in this case, we need to use analog because we need to change the amount of voltage that is supplied to that LED to give it the fading effect. So instead of doing a digital write, we're going to do analog write, and we're using one of our analog pins. So LED, and then brightness. So we're assigning brightness to the LED. And then next, what we need to do is we need to change the brightness for like the next time we go through the loop. Because every time it goes through this loop, it's going to assign the brightness to it. So if we use the loop in our advantage to change this variable every time we go through it, that's how we can effectively simulate the, dimming and going back. So I'm going to do brightness equals brightness plus fade amount. So this is essentially going to be 0 plus 0, or 0, brightness equals 0 plus fade amount. So that's going to be 5. So the way this is going to be is going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, every time it keeps going through the loop, right? And now that's a little problematic because we don't want to go to like 1,000,000. That would be unfortunate. So what we need to do is if statement, because we need to ask a question here. We need to say if the brightness is too bright, we need to start going in reverse, right? So if brightness is less than or equal to 0, or, that's a symbol for or, so it's 2 lines. So we can ask 2 statements here, right? So if it's equal to 0 or brightness is greater than or equal to 255, then it's going to run this one instead. There you go, I did the brackets for me. So then this, what we need to do here is fade amount equals negative fade amount. So this is a really cool trick here. So effectively what we're doing is, so it's going brightness equals brightness plus fade amount, and it's going to go all the way up to 255, right? Because that's the range here. So if it equals, or if it's greater than 255, it's going to run this code. So if fade amount, let me explain this better. So what it's going to do here, it's going to do the if statement, asking if brightness is greater than 0 or less than 255, or less than or equal to. So there's a case that if we go to 260, it's going to start running this code here. And what this code does is it takes the fade amount and it essentially just sets it to a negative number. So every time it's doing this calculation over and over again, it's subtracting 5 from the 255 rather than adding it. So that way, once we hit 255, it's going to start going in reverse all the way back down to 0. And that's why we need the greater than here as well, because it can go to -5 or whatever, 0. And then it's going to switch this back to a positive, because we're going to assign a negative to a negative. Just going to make it a positive again. And then it's going to start going back up. So it's easy as that. And then one last thing that we need to implement is a delay, because we don't want this running too quick. I would always suggest doing delays if you're looking for like an LED or something like that. Even like as little as this is perfectly fine. This is the perfect speed that we want to be fading our LED at and brightening it. So yeah, hopefully that guys made sense. Yeah, let's see how this works.
All right, guys, welcome back. Let's go ahead and give this a test. And there we go. Our LED is pulsating. So we get a little fade there. And if we want, we can speed it up by just changing the delay. Uploading it now. There we go, it's a bit faster. So hopefully you guys can see that well. Go ahead and try it, build it out, and I'll see you in the next module.